Since 1991, lobbyist Jim Kavanaugh has promoted the legislative position of independent insurance agents of Nebraska and played defense against legislation that could harm members' business. Working closely with the Legislative Committee, Board of Directors, and member volunteers, Kavanaugh takes to the state capitol positions on legislative bills, works with the committee drafting new initiatives, and fights for insurance consumer protection laws. Here's what's happening now in the legislative session.
Hi, I'm Jim Kavanaugh, and welcome to the Independent Insurance Agents of Nebraska 2011 Legislative Session Wrap-Up. We're joined today by the Independent Insurance Agents of Nebraska Executive Director, Carol McClellan. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Jim.
The 90-day 2011 legislative session dealt primarily with the budget shortfall, the Court of Industrial Relations, and a roads bill. A few insurance bills did pass, including one to amend the Surplus Line Act to conform with federal law, a workers' comp bill dealing with trauma fees, and an insurance department cleanup bill. Going forward, legislation that was not passed or killed during the 2011 session will carry over to the 2012 legislative session. A number of insurance bills passed this year, including LB 70, which amends the Surplus Lines Act to conform with new federal law, LB 72, the Insurance Department Cleanup Bill, LB 152, regarding workers' comp reimbursement for fees for inpatient trauma services, and LB 535 requires producers' licenses to sell portable electronic insurance. There are also a number of interim study resolutions which will deal with legislation to be introduced in the 2012 session. Carol, we've been looking at interim study resolutions regarding the Affordable Care Act. Would you like to bring us up to date on a few of those?
Sure. Before I do that, I just want to let everyone know that IIAN has a new health insurance exchange task force. It's chaired by Mark Lisko out of Omaha. We have a number of members serving on the task force because none of the provisions of the new Affordable Care Act is really more important to independent agents in Nebraska than how a health insurance exchange will be established and implemented. So our health insurance exchange task force is in the process of working with other producer organizations and the Nebraska Insurance Department as they study whether or not Nebraska should have an exchange and what part insurance agents and producers will play in the exchange. We've had task force members who have attended 5 insurance department hearings across the state in March, and we're also participating in an insurance department survey, a very detailed survey about how a health insurance exchange should be implemented. The 3 interim studies that Jim will be involved in and also involving the task force are going to be done by the Banking, Commerce, and Insurance Committee and the Health and Human Services Committee, and they'll deal with the state of health insurance in Nebraska currently, as well as the impact that the Affordable Care Act will have in Nebraska. We are advocating for the value of knowledgeable, licensed, professional, independent insurance agents in the process of purchasing health insurance and how important that will continue to be as these new exchanges are implemented and if an exchange is implemented in Nebraska. So this is something that will be an ongoing effort. If you'd like to find out more about it, go to our homepage at www.iian.org, and there'll be some things you can download there to find out more.
Other interim studies that we'll be following have to do with car insurance, whether the primary coverage shall be on the individual or the vehicle, home repair on fraud issues on insured losses, and direct repair by insurers. These and other issues will be heard by appropriate legislative committees between now and January 2012 and could very likely result in legislation in the 2012 legislative session. Carol, we had a pretty good session this year.
Yeah, I think even though there weren't many measures passed, we were proactive on LB 409, which we oppose, and we'll continue to talk to the sponsor, Senator Utter, and work with the Banking, Commerce, and Insurance Committee on that next year since it's been carried over. There's lots of workers' comp bills that'll be carried over, and we'll be involved with that as well. So I think it's a continuing story. We do have an active legislative committee chaired by Bob Hoppe out of Columbus, and they'll be meeting later in the summer and then regularly throughout the next session as they did in the past session.
So that's it for 2011, and we look forward to a successful interim study season and then on to the legislative session in January 2012. Thanks very much.